Hey everybody, welcome to Bura. In this episode, we're going to be asking the question, is the best way to become a developer just to be a hobby developer for a certain period of time? Alright, welcome back. Before I start this video, I want to make sure that you like and subscribe. The more likes and subscribers we get, the more content we can make. So I was thinking the other day, is one of the best ways to become a developer to just become a hobby developer and spend some of your spare time just developing things for fun and then eventually become a good enough programmer that you can get a job? Well, if you're not on any particular timeline, then this might be a very good option. One of the best things about programming in your spare time is you can just do whatever you want. If you actually work for someone, you have to do what other people want, and that's obviously not as fun. Hence why it's a job, and hence why you're getting paid for it. However, one of the best things I like about development is to just develop something in your spare time that you're doing for fun that you want to do. So the question is should you just do this and eventually become good enough to become an actual paid programmer? Now, I think the answer is yes. So I've been programming for a long time, and in the late 2000s, I needed to retool my tool set to C# because I was a C++ developer. So what I did was I made a bunch of Xbox 360 games, and I became a freelancer after that. And because I made those games, my careers tended to skyrocket. But the one thing about that period of time is that I was on a huge time crunch. Literally all of my spare time was devoted to making these games. And basically I had the mentality that if I didn't have a game out soon, it would not be good for my career. And so hence I really pushed forward, and it wasn't as fun as I possibly could make it. Now, of course, I was in my early 20s, and instead of doing all the things people in their early 20s do, I spent all my time developing games and learning to code again. So that is something that I personally did that I look back and thank my younger self for doing. Now, the flip side of that though is maybe a year or two before that, I was developing for fun, and it was actually quite a good experience. I was using Game Maker and I was just making some games, and I thought it was actually really fun. It was a stark contrast between pushing things out the door and just developing something for fun. Now, I think that if you're not on a huge time crunch, then you should just be developing for fun. If your goal is in 2 or 3 or 5 years to be a developer, I think that if you just start developing for fun, you'll learn a lot. In fact, this might actually be a better way of doing it instead of pushing it out there. Now, the only reason I say that is because when you're developing something and you're really pushing, it's not fun, it's very stressful, and I remember being very stressed out in that period of time. Not only did I have a job, but I also was spending all my time with frustrating equipment. So making games today is a lot easier than it was in the late 2000s. So I remember working through all the bugs in my code, and there were a lot of bugs, and I eventually got it to compile on my computer. And then once I ported it to the Xbox 360, there were a ton of errors. And the reason is that the .NET framework on the Xbox 360 was different from the one on my computer. So today it's a lot easier, and problems like that don't happen as much, thankfully. So like I said, if you just want to develop something from here and there and maybe not finish a few projects here and there and you just want to move on to something else, I think that's totally fine. In fact, I think that's a really good thing to do. One of the hardest things about coding is to finish a project. And if you've been a fan of this channel and been following me personally for many years, I always say you want to finish projects. And that way you should keep the scope early. But if you're just brand new to coding, or you've coded before and you just want to get really good at it, maybe just start coding and see what happens. So eventually, if you have the problem of not finishing something, pick a small scope project and just finish it. But maybe most of your time should be spent just coding something for fun. I think that if you do this, you'll learn to love coding a lot more than if you went down the road I did, where you literally have to plow things through. Of course, again, if you've been a fan of this channel, and also please be sure to like and subscribe, it really does help us out. Now, if you've been a fan of this channel, I always say that if you have an idea, you're already 2 weeks behind. And that mentality I've been using for many, many years. But over the years, I've found that if you just maybe code something for fun, you might actually get more done. It actually might be more productive. So let me know, do you code for fun? Have you tried this approach? Have you been through those crunch times? I want to read your comments down below. Remember that this channel doesn't do a Patreon. Instead, we sell our digital products down below. The more money we get from the content that you buy below, the more content we can make. If you really like this channel, you can subscribe to Mammoth Interactive's huge library of content. We release 20 to 60 hours of fresh new content per month. That's every month. We have everything from web development tutorials to machine learning tutorials to game development tutorials and more. We have monthly and yearly options, and it really does help out the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.